Good afternoon. This is Rob Warner with Florida Fisherman. I'm here with George from Upper Key Sport Fishing, and we're going to be doing a fishing video tomorrow with the nice folks from Setting the Hook Fishing Apparel, and people from Boss Lures, and of course George from Upper Key Sport Fishing. That's Carrie over there behind the camera.
Hello.
How you doing?
If you
Make
would,
me look good.
yeah, make us both look good if that's
There you
possible.
go.
Young.
Yeah, young and good. If you would, tell these people, because I don't think everybody really understands what goes into a boat charter. What goes on before the people actually even get to the boat?
Well, let's say that it's going to be a 7 o'clock start time,
Right.
which is usually pretty late. Usually by then the sun is already up in an hour, and that's usually when people want to arrive, usually by 7.
Right.
Personally, I like to be out fishing right at daylight, but let's just take an example of a 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, usually I'm up by at least about 4:15 in the morning. 4:15, maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. First thing I'm doing is I'm loading ice onto the boat. It requires usually somewhere in the vicinity of several hundred pounds of ice, to have, ice for the clients, ice for the fish, for the bait, you have all that. Getting all your rods ready, getting all your tackle ready, making sure that, you're winding on all the drags, and making sure that you're, making sure all your leaders are fine, that, that there's no kinks in the line, making sure that all your tackle is optimal.
Yeah, I don't think people know this. They think they just show
They
up
don't,
at 7 and
right. They think
everything's done.
There it is. It's already ready the way
Right.
we left it on the boat. I mean, it depends. It depends how you want to run, your organization. If you want to run, leave the tackle on the boat and leave it on and let all the salt spray and everything, and then what happens is that
end up
you
replacing it.
end up replacing it. But the worst part about it is that you have situations where people say they're on a really big fish. And this has happened to me before when I used to pay for charters that I would not take my own tackle. And all of a sudden you're on a really big fish, let's say like a marlin or a sailfish or something that's substantially
Big
in
wahoo.
size, right? And then all of a sudden your drag freezes up and your line kinks and you lose it. And usually, oftentimes a client doesn't realize that it's not necessarily the way he's handling the rod. It's because of the equipment
wasn't
taken
prepared
care of
properly. Yeah.
So at the end of a charter, we're always taking care of equipment, putting it away, cleaning it, lubricating it, and at the beginning of the charter, we're doing the same thing. So getting ready with equipment, getting ready with bait, making sure that if you're having any live bait, you get them out of the pens. You're chasing around all these little fish, they don't want to get caught. That usually takes
They know where they're going.
Exactly. Sometimes I just take them out for a ride and I bring them back. People say they're my pets. They're in your pens. They go out and then you bring them back. You go out and you bring them back. Every once in a while they don't come back.
Every once in a while,
Those are
one
the
has
ones,
to give it up
right,
for the team.
Exactly. But that's the other thing. The other thing is making sure your boat is full of fuel, making sure that all your electrical is working, making sure that basically your bathrooms are clean. For the ladies, I like to make sure that it's basically spick and span. It's not just a bunch of guys going out there having a good time. Oftentimes we have lots of ladies and we have children that are coming on board, and the last thing they want to see is an unkept pattern.
That's one of my favorite things to see is children fishing. There is nothing better than watching children catch fish because they get so elated with what's going on, and
Exactly.
it's just awesome.
Exactly.
Just awesome.
And the funny thing about children is that if they know, young kids, if they know that there's a bathroom on board, they want to see how it works.
Of course they do.
It's like, it amazes me.
By the way,
it really amazes me.
Florida Fisherman does not promote drinking. However,
You got to have a cold one today. It's
Yep.
about 88
it's about,
degrees.
what do you say the humidity is? About 90?
Feels like 100 almost. This is the beautiful Florida Keys.
So you're, from the time, it's 2.5 hours before
at least.
your charter shows up that you've been up and working.
At least. And that's with my mate also.
Okay,
So
two
my-
people up working
Exactly,
for 2.5 hours.
exactly.
That's awesome.
We're
But
rigging
people don't
baits.
know any of that.
No, we're rigging baits. It all you get pretty fast at it.
Yeah.
But we rig basically somewhere in the vicinity of about maybe a couple dozen ballyhoo in about an hour. But still, that takes quite a bit of time. You have to make sure that your ballyhoo are
fresh.
You have to have them fresh. You have to make sure you break the backbones. You have to make sure that you rig them properly. You have to make sure that they're not kinking, so that when you're trolling them, that they're not spinning. A lot of people wonder, they see baits that are spinning, and is that proper? No, you want to make sure that these baits that you're preparing ahead of time, that are going to skip when they skip out of a wave, that they look like they're actually like a flying fish or a fish leaping out of the wave.
Right.
Well, that's an art to prepare that, and it takes time to do that, and a lot of times people don't.
I fished with a captain that I worked for when I was younger, who insisted that you had to take the eyes out of a ballyhook. He insisted. I mean, if he would come by and inspect, and when we were done rigging them, if they had eyes in any of them, he'd go, "Get the eyes out. Get the eyes out." Some people are just, they have their things about this.
Right.
How did you get started doing this?
Well, long time ago. I was probably about 14, 15 years old, and I used to love fishing, used to love charter fishing. And the only thing that I could really afford to do sometimes was go on the big party boats up in North Miami Beach, up at the old Castaways.
Hollover?
At Hollover Beach,
yeah.
right, with the old Popeye and that. And one day I just asked, I said, hey, is there any way that I can, work on one of these? And they said, well, what do you know how to do? And I said, well, really, I don't know how to do anything. How old are you? Oh, I'm 15. Okay. Well, you can come down and you can help us and we'll take you out. Well, it wasn't fishing. It was scrubbing the decks. It was cutting bait. It was cleaning the bathrooms. It was cleaning up all of the chum that some of the clients would leave behind.
Right.
So that was basically my start, and little by little, started learning how to do that from that. Every opportunity I could. So that was my start. From there, I used to take out my dad's boat. I had a small little inboard outboard, and I'd take that out, and occasionally, I'd have people go out and, wasn't a charter captain, but they would pay me for gas and they'd pay me tips, and I thought, hey, this is pretty neat. I'm a charter guy.
That's right.
And I thought that that's all there was to it, but there's a lot more to it.
Then you started really figuring it out, right?
Right. So little by little, I've been coming down to South Florida for well over. My family lives down here, so I've been, was up in Wisconsin for a period of time. Did a lot of fishing up there in the Great Lakes.
Yeah. Do any chartering up there? Or?
I did. Part of the time I did, just doing some with primarily for Kings. Did a lot of tournaments up there, and that's one of the ways that got into a little bit of the business itself. From there, I would come down here periodically, and I'd visit my family periodically, and go out every once in a while. I'd come down here, stay down at the Calusa Cove, and had a boat down here for a while, and occasionally people that I would know that I used to fish with when I was younger would call me up and say, hey, can we fish with you? And I'd say, sure. We'd go out, and so it started like that, and little by little I've been doing that just around this area probably for about 20 years.
Yeah.
Nobody really knew about it. I just never really advertised it. It was just something that I would do, for, a few weeks or a month here and there in the wintertime. So I've been doing that pretty much down here for quite a period of time.
Something I just found out about George today. George is a retired dentist.
Right.
And somehow ended up from dentist to pulling the fish teeth out. So
I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
Good job,
Well,
George.
the thing is, I'm not just pulling their teeth out, I'm pulling the whole damn fish out of
Get
the water, Just
teeth and all.
Exactly. But I've been doing a lot of fishing. And full time probably for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
Full time.
Do you like
completely.
it?
I have.
Are you retired?
I am retired, but at the same point, I fish so much that I don't really know whether.
So you're not retired?
I guess I don't know. This isn't work.
No, it's not.
It's not work.
It's funny. That's how this whole Florida fisherman thing started. I've been promoting car dealerships just about all my life, and started because I spent so much time on the computer. I started just following charter boats. So I had something to do while I was sitting in the office, and it slowly evolved into what we're doing now, which is my retirement. So this is going to be great.
It's a great retirement.
You and I will see a lot of each other,
I
I'm
hope
sure.
so. I hope so.
Any words of wisdom for anybody that would be thinking about getting into this?
Well, the first thing I can think of is that make sure that you have quite a bit of a substantial savings. Because if you think you're going to come into the charter business to make money, I got news for you. There is money to be made. There is. And it takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of work. It takes basically being good.
Right.
And
Doing the stuff that nobody else does.
Exactly.
Go and give them 100%, not 90, not 80.
Well, sometimes, you know, people say, you know, I give it 100%, and then you look at people saying, yeah, I give it 150%. You know, I believe that if you go way out of your way, and if you go beyond what the majority are doing, that's giving it 100%.
Beyond the normal expectation.
Beyond the norms.
Right.
I've had a couple of people down here that have been referring to me as Captain Midnight. And I said, you know what?
Well, I like your pirate flag.
Thank you. Thank you. It's kind of the pirate in all of us, you know.
We all have that in us.
Jimmy Buffett, the pirate in all of us.
You know, I've found that all of the people that I'm talking to that are involved in this all have that spark, all have that
Right.
little bit of pirate left in them.
Right.
And it's great to see. It's
Right.
great to see.
Arg.
Okay. Do you fish tournaments?
I do.
I know that you're fishing one this weekend.
I am.
Who are you fishing with?
I'm fishing with Ernie for Boss Lures, and he's got a couple of very good friends of his, a person by the name of Tom, which I haven't met yet, and Dave, and then a very great fisher lady that's very young, but she's on her way to becoming a really great sportsman, is a person by the name of Maureen Mascaro.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, she will be on Chevy's Florida Insider, I think, this coming Thursday.
I will find her.
Right. And very just aficionado for fishing.
Great. Great.
And of course myself and my mate Daniel will be on there.
This fishing trip that we're going on tomorrow, what do you want people to get from this?
Pretty much what we do. I'm about people catching fish. I'm about people having fun. I'm about service. I don't like to take people just to the reef to catch a bunch of little fish and say, okay, you've caught fish. To
You
me,
know, I'm very
that's,
fond of yellowtail.
I understand that. And that's why we're going yellowtail fishing tomorrow, is because you are yellowtail fishing.
That's the best tasting fish on the planet. So,
Silk snapper.
I like mangroves.
Do you?
Mangies. Yeah, I love mangies.
I like
just don't like
silk.
putting my fingers in them. You know, that's, my God, they snap them off.
yeah, they do.
I like
But
silks and hogs.
What I love to do is I love to get people on big fish.
Yeah.
Our motto is we put you on big fish, either on fly, light, or conventional tackle. That's our motto, and that's what we love to do. And I'll tell you, there's nothing that gives me a greater thrill than for me to be able to put people on big fish, whether it's marlin, whether it's sailfish, whether it's big mahi. And that's what we generally target.
Right.
So you might see me one day that I'm one of the farthest charter boats out there. There's a few of us out there, a few really good charter captains that are way out there, you know, 30, 40, 50 miles out looking for fish. Sometimes we come in empty-handed, you know, we're looking for the big ones. But when we come in, generally, we've got some really, really big trophies that people can be really proud of.
And great stories to tell and great
Exactly.
pictures to send home.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about. Well, Florida Fisherman is really happy to be involved with you in any way, shape, or form, George.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
I follow about 300 boats.
Thank you.
This is one of the best there is.
Thank you.